Hello, fellow Star Wars fans. My name is Staraptor, and this is a surprise review because we just got a shadow drop of a brand new Star Wars Audible original from Disney Lucasfilm Press. This one is called Star Wars The High Republic Seeds of Starlight, written by George Mann, with narration by Todd Haberkorn. And this one obviously takes place during Phase 3 of The High Republic, as we are currently in Phase 3, and this follows the adventures of a brand new character named Cam Linden, as well as two characters that we know from previous stories, such as Tep Tep and Kildo. And what this is about is we go to the planet of Eiram, where people have been mysteriously disappearing. Eiram, if you remember, is where Starlight Beacon has plummeted at the end of Phase 1 of the initiative. So we have this brand new Padawan of Master Buyer, who has had lots of trouble in the past. She has recently lost her Padawan to the Nameless, so she recently picks up Cam as a new Padawan pupil. So it's really up to them and the RDC to go ahead and figure out what's going on. Why are these people disappearing? All the while they're having to deal with the people of this planet just not really liking Jedi, right? Jedi, they feel like, are failing them at this point in time, with the fall of Starlight, with the Nile incursions going on, everything like that. So when we all get down to the positives here, Cam is a great new character to Star Wars. He is somebody that has a disability. He was really in a bad accident on Coruscant, a speeder accident, that basically rendered his vocal cords basically completely inept, to the point where he now uses a vocator. So I understand now why they made this an Audible original, because we get to hear him speak and he sounds like a droid. But it's good because he's learning to cope with this. He's 15 years old. He's learning throughout the events of this book how to get courage, because he feels bad about this injury, right? So it's really diving into the head of this character, how they are troubled, how are they overcoming their fear, how are they gaining courage. So I really appreciated that personal story as we're into more of a fun adventure for this one. There's a lot of mystery in the story, which I enjoyed very much, of exploring what is going on. Why are these people disappearing? Where are these threads leading to? Is it maybe the Nile? Is it something else? And I'm not going to spoil that here. I think that the horror element is great. I mean, this is George Mann writing this thing. As we all know, George Mann loves to inject horror in Star Wars, and he does some of the best grotesque stuff yet in this Audible original, especially with the audio, being able to hear these creatures and monsters. It's quite cool. And the third act is really great. I mean, the first and second acts, there's a lot of build up, there's a lot of character exploration, but when we get to that third act, it really does feel pretty climactic, pretty epic, dealing with a citywide incursion of said things going on without giving too much away. But we have multiple viewpoints, big saber things going on, and that's as far as I want to get to, because I feel like I'm already too close to giving things away at this point. And then we get down to it, the messages that the story gives, that George Mann implants in the story, are great for the young readers, because, right, this is a Disney Lucasfilm Press publication. This is geared more for the middle age, all ages, so it does skew a little bit for the younger audience, but everybody, myself, 34-year-old, can enjoy, this story as well. So first of all, finding a common cause, like, hey, you guys might have been enemies, these two different groups, but to get together to accomplish something. And I think that kind of speaks a lot for what the U.S. is going through recently. So there's some things that the world currently, as all Star Wars usually does, is point towards something that can be effective in our own lives. Something else, speaking of pointing, is pointing the finger at another person and blaming them doesn't really get you anywhere. If you have a problem, just move forward with it. Pointing the blame is just going to irritate somebody more and more. As we know, it just doesn't usually end off to over. It might feel good in the moment to point blame at somebody, but over time, is it really worth it? Not really. So I do appreciate that George Mann has injected these values for the younger audience into this, to get them to understand growing up and how things work as we are getting older in these times of strife and whatnot. There are some negatives. I will say I was a little bit shocked at the sticker price of $25. Now, this is available more or less as a subscription, so they are certainly pushing you towards an Audible subscription. I know at one point it was part of Prime Video, I think, but now I actually have to have another subscription, which I prefer not to do because I tend to forget, and then I'll just get charged more than I think this is worth. But $25 for like a 4-hour experience, I feel like that is kind of steep. And that is because the production quality, while it's fine, I feel like I would expect more. If I look at the Del Rey stuff, they have a lot more music, they have a lot more sound effects and things of that nature, and they have multiple people, doing the drama as opposed to just a single narrator. And while I do enjoy most of what Todd Haberkorn had done, there are some moments where I was just like, ooh, that's like nails on a chalkboard. When it comes to Tep Tep, who is the youngling from Valo, young girl, and it just, her voice is just, oh man, that was screeching. As well as Cam's voice as the droid. It just felt pretty generic as far as like the effects, and I just feel like you are living in this society that is so much technology, and you can't do something better than just make the guy sound like a droid. I mean, come on, at this point, we have AI in our own world, which sounds just like a human. So I feel like some of that stuff is just a little bit odd to me why that is injected in here. And I feel like some of the scenes do go on a little bit long, like, oh, this has been going on for 10 minutes and we're still talking about this. You know what I mean? So sometimes the pacing, I guess, would get tripped up a little bit, especially in the beginning to middle part of this book. Overall, I do recommend it. Your mileage may vary, right? If you're looking for a vast, epic action type of story that's going to carry the High Republic forward, you might not get what you want out of this one, if I'm being honest, but there are some big implications, I will say, for the future of the High Republic that are quite interesting, that excite me as a fan of some certain kind of adversaries that we've seen before that are coming back to the surface. So from that perspective, I do think that this is definitely worth the listen. And there is a part 2 coming. It's worth noting there is a part 2 coming, so be prepared for that. It's coming in 2025 according to the description. But overall, yeah, I had a fun listen to this one throughout the day on a run earlier today. Listening to the third act was quite an adventure as I'm running through the forest and hearing things, blaster bolts and people fighting. That was kind of cool. But yeah, so there you go. That was my review for Seeds of Starlight, available now on Audible. So what'd you guys think of this one? Let me know in the comment section down below. For more on Star Wars, you're already in the right place. I have several videos for the latest reviews in books such as Mace Windu, The Glass Abyss, and for more upcoming book reviews, stay right here locked in at youtube.com/StarRaptor. That's gonna do it for me, StarRaptor. Thank you so much for watching, and may the Force be with you always. Thanks for checking out the video. Please hit that thumbs up symbol. It helps me know that I'm making content that you guys enjoy. And if you enjoyed this video, I also included 2 videos down below you guys should check out. And please consider subscribing to this channel. It helps support me, and it notifies you guys of when I get new videos up on the channel. You can also contact me on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at StarRaptor.